Hi, Craig. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
So this is a series I've been waiting for quite a while. We here at Comic Book have been very excited for the Penguin, and of course, you direct the first three episodes. It's one of those things where like Oz is such a compelling figure. He's a little complex, and he became such a fan favorite from the movie. What was your kind of approach, throughout those first three episodes of like establishing obviously the world, but also him in it and picking up where the movie left off?
Oh yeah, that was what was so fun. Was that you get a sense of him in the movie, but you kind of don't know very much about sort of like his backstory or kind of like anything like that. And what was fun about this was exploring, like learning that, like seeing what Lauren LaFranc did with the writing in terms of like really telling the story of this guy who isn't the penguin that we've seen before at all. Like yes, maybe he like in the movie has like wears this very kind of like flashy clothes and has like a purple car. But that's because he's like peacocking almost, he's sort of like strutting, trying to show that he's like a person who has money and power and stuff because he's actually a person that came from, a very working class background and is like trying to pull himself up, and he's a mid-level guy in the crime family, not the top. And it was fun to kind of start him there and send him, hopefully to the top by the end. It was like sort of what the goal of the hope of the show is.
Well, and obviously we're not going to get into big spoilers and things because there's a lot of fun twists and turns. But I gotta say, I think this is easily one of my favorite starts to a show. Within like the first 10-15 minutes, I feel like it sets the tone so well for kind of everything that comes before. Without obviously, I mean, getting into too many spoilers, but kind of what was so important about that first episode. I mean, first episodes are always important, but especially that one because of some of the decisions that are made.
Yeah, like what was fun was that like very quickly this new thing that isn't as much explored in the movie was like Oz is a character who probably does his best work getting out of a problematic situation, right? And so there's actually some part of his personality that like he can't resist shoving himself into problematic situations, pushing himself into a corner so that he has to get himself out of that corner. That he has like an impulse that just happens that doesn't like that doesn't come from a conscious place, but is like that some element of his personality like has him do brash things, and those brash things kind of put him into a place where then he has to problem solve his way out of it. It was fun. It's hopefully it's a thing you see in the first episode and then you recognize kind of repeated throughout the course of the series. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little bit of his calling card, but
Yeah.
that's what makes it fun, and I feel like that's what gives the character some kind of welcome unpredictability, and that is maintained throughout the season, especially those first couple episodes. And we do see the kind of the waddle. I feel like anyway become more pronounced as time goes on, just because all the hits he keeps taking. Is that kind of true, or is that just me?
I mean, yeah, well, I actually would have to ask Colin that. I don't 100% know if he like went further, but certainly like he does take a few knocks in the show. So like, that would make sense. I thought, what was fun was just like being able to kind of like he is a character that is like you said, brash, like the element of like that he doesn't even know that he doesn't even kind of know that he did something like makes it there's humor there that like is I think is endearing, like that he's always a little bit on the back foot about things is like charming in a way, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also what surprised me too is that how early and how quickly the kind of connection slash, you know, friendship, partnership, enemyship that is between Oz and Sophia. That comes together really kind of really early, but then also kind of takes on a life of its own. Can you kind of tease about what
Yeah,
people can expect on that?
that was an exciting thing about getting to do like more than just one episode, was to try to kind of like build the story of these two people that, um have known each other, and like you get to see sort of like how they relate to each other, and how what they find in each other as like interesting. And like, yeah, we would talk about it almost like it was a buddy cop movie at times, where we would be like, this is the two of them together, like, and the way that a buddy cop movie or something like that would work, in terms of the way that the audience like responds to and wants to see them interact with each other, was like a big thing we were chasing for sure.
Yeah, and it's also so wonderfully paired with, the kind of the impromptu partnership that comes with Victor, and how that kind of, Victor ends up, kind of becoming like this, assistant slash aide. But it's also, I feel like, kind of like you mentioned before, like we get to see more of Oz's personality come through because of some of the things he's sharing with him along the way. Was that kind of how you looked at it too, or?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like it's like, like we're seeing Oz's world as he shows it to a new person, right? So it's like in some ways like Victor is kind of the audience proxy, but it's also for a guy who's always trying to show off who he is. Like we're seeing he's always presenting sort of like the world to this other character, which I feel like does tell you kind of more about him, and like, what a strange man he is.
And I know I have to let you go soon, and I sincerely appreciate the time. For establishing kind of the world, picking up from the movie, especially in the first episode, we see kind of a good kind of primer as to like, hey, here's kind of the state of things. Here are some of the big things. What can you kind of tease about how connected things get into like episode 2 and episode 3 and beyond? Does it kind of become its own story and it's just kind of sitting in that world, or are there kind of more of those connections constantly happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the goal was to make something that you didn't have to have know really the story of the film in order to still enjoy. Like, hopefully, this could be a mob show that you could just watch. But if you did know and like the Matt Reeves world that he had created, that this would like, be a big primer, and like all, kind of constantly have like little winks and nods towards like where we're going kind of in the bigger picture. And I would say like it was also fun because like when you watch like superhero movies, like always the climax of the movie that something big and destructive happens, and it was fun to be like, well, what was 2 days after that? What was happening? You know? Which was it was a cool place to set a story, I thought.
Now, I know obviously, these things always morph, and Colin, I think, has even been like, I don't know if I've got another season in me, just because of, he gets so into the character and everything. But, do you see, you loving having some ideas in the back of the brain for a possible season 2? Would you like to see this world kind of continue?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't have to put on 4 hours of makeup every day to do it. So it sounds easy to say for me, but again, it was a technical challenge, and I was kind of amazed we pulled off even getting through it, because of how much of a challenge to make a TV show where the main character is really like a combination of an actor and Mike Marino's amazing, makeup effects. I would say if Colin was up for it and he was up for it, I would understand and think that that was awesome. I also think Matt has a lot of ideas, and to like have the same treatment of the universe with a different character is also kind of exciting. I think that I would like to see, any of those. I really like the world he made, and how we say grounded, but really how present tense and how like put into the modern day. I think he did it. And I would love to see like other characters in that, universe. I can't wait to see the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Craig. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Certainly welcome. I'm a comic book fanatic, so I can imagine you are as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it's one of actually the reasons why I've been looking so forward to this series because I actually feel like we're in a little bit between what's been going on in the comics with Penguin, the excellent Tom King series, what was done in the Batman, and now with the series. I feel like we're in a little bit of like a Penguin renaissance, as it were. Do you feel that way too? And also, what was kind of your, original kind of first draw to the character?
Oh man, well, I think I'm always been a comic book fan. I've been an avid comic book collector. I did collect a lot of Batman, especially when Todd McFarlane was in the mix. He did a couple of issues there. The crazy caped one, I think it was a Batman in two. What the hell was that? I have it. I have a huge poster of it as well. But it was late '80s, early '90s that began my real fascination with Batman. And you may know the series when Batman was a really cool limited series where Batman has a beard and he's like taking drugs and stuff. And
yes,
what was that? What was that? That was cool.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's like holding a bottle of pills and they're like spilled out on the ground, and he's got this.
It's something in the demon, right? It's something. I forget, but I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, early '90s, maybe late '80s or something. But anyway, what drew me to the part was that it's a dream job. I mean, I'm a comic book fan. I have a lot of Neil Adams original art. I remember the records, the Power records, where Man Bat and Batman were on it. It was this cool audio book record that I would play as a kid, early '80s. So I've always been a fan. I've always been a Penguin fan. I even have all my old toys. So what I really loved was that I had already worked with Colin Farrell previously, many years, maybe a decade earlier on a project. And I always liked him. And I was like, okay, he would be a really good person to be in a makeup one day. And I got the opportunity to do this job. And I spoke to Matt Reeves, and he wanted to do something with Colin. And I said, oh, great. This is going to be awesome. And I get to fulfill, what I want to do with the Penguin, my version of it. And it had to fit within the tone of Matt's world. But I really tried to go for it with, giving him some kind of beaky quality and this, kind of subliminal bird beak nose, and his eyebrows in the shape of a penguin's brow. I had some white hairs in his eyebrows, that kind of a black and white kind of thing. His receding hairline, as if it's going to be bald at some point. So all of these subliminal things mixed with the influences and the ideas of Matt Reeves, Fredo from The Godfather, and that feeling of a gangster who wanted more. So it was that floating around the ether of the Penguin, like that as an inspiration. So all of those layers kind of combined, I came up with this sculpture of what I thought it would be. And I had done this bow tie on him and this collar, and his hair I sculpted, and I just photographed it and I showed it to Matt, and he was like, "This is friggin' awesome, man." He's like, "Could you do this for real? Could it be real?" And I said, "Yeah, let's test it. We'll do a test. And if you don't like the test, then we'll do something different." But the test went really well. And Colin was in the makeup for the first time, and the voice came out, and the character and the walk and the demeanor and the charisma was there immediately. And I'm sure he's fine-tuned some of that for the series and through Lauren's amazing script and all of that. But it was from the start like a magical thing.
Oh man, and I just love that you were, you really were like starting to sculpt and things, kind of immersed in that all that comic lore and fandom. That's there's just something really cool about that, and that now you're here creating.
I'm a real fan. I'm a real fan. A real fan. I mean,
That's amazing.
I have Detective Comics, Neil Adams, Man Bat posters all over my house, everywhere. I have real Neil Adams art. I have Jim Lee stuff. I am just a total freak, man. So I'm a perfect person to be in this world doing it because I feel like a fan that's getting an opportunity to do something cool that I'm hoping to please and show my style to everyone in our world.
Now, it does sound from, you kind of creating that initial design and really kind of getting off the ground from there, right? It was kind of like, oh, let's make that real. Were there a lot of things that you had added in kind of initially that didn't really make it? It sounds like it mostly made it intact.
First shot, man. It was like a miracle.
Wow.
It was the first shot. It was the first original inspiration, first sculpture, first design, no commentary other than let's try this, which is like an amazing thing for a creator because a lot of the time there's some kind of entity hovering over saying, can we try this? Can we change this? Can we change this? And I really kind of took some divine inspiration and some kind of angelic force. I put this forward into the world as pure as it came out of my head into the film and into the series.
Now, it's also crazy to see that, like, knowing how much work goes in to creating this and like the amount of time, right? To like during the press conference, you mentioned like, the different shades of red and adding all those things in. And then to see in sequences where Oz is like, in a truck, get banged around and moving all around. And you're like, I don't know, like as a person who like worked on it, I would be probably just like, oh my God, don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. How much of that is there in that?
Well, he could take a lot of abuse because basically he's wearing this, big suit made of rubber, so he could bounce around the whole thing and be fine. And the regular actors that aren't in makeup might be injured. So he's protected. He's totally insulated with this, anatomical pillow he's wearing, basically.
Because you are such a fan of Batman and seeing the work, I appreciated it. As much as someone kind of from the outside that doesn't, realize all the intricacies that go into it, I appreciated it from the movie. But I think after seeing, after Penguin getting so much of the spotlight in this show and really getting to see him kind of take the lead and so much of him in the show, you kind of really have a renewed and even tenfold appreciation for just how good, he looks and the prosthetics are. But because you were such a Batman fan, and there are a number of rogues that also could have a lot done with them in as far as their design. What is the kind of deep cut Batman character you would love to work on in this world at some point down the line? You can go as deep cut as you want. I mean, we can get, Professor Pig, Scarface, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I have a really cool idea for Clayface, which is different. I have a really cool idea for Man-Bat. I have a really cool idea for, the Joker, which we had a taste of and which may be explored. We don't know yet. Man, there's so many. Two-Face, I would do something totally different and weird. I don't know. I just want to get the opportunity to do something different and to use makeup effects in a really new and interesting, strange way that maybe we haven't seen before. Because I think this is a testament to taking something that doesn't exist and fantasizing what it would be like in reality, as if it organically grew out of this world, and to take other characters and villains and do the same thing with them. Instead of making an impersonal, maybe, phantom of a character that's floating around scaring people, I think it's more of a tangible, personal thing that we can maybe take some kind of physical strangeness and make it a really a great performance through makeup, through a great actor. I think there's a big window of opportunity here to do that. And I hope that we can explore that further in this world.
Well, look, I cannot wait to see what you do next. It has been an extreme pleasure to get to chat with you, and all the best success.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be on your show.